So COMOSYS, being a general purpose program, allows you access to modify the materials database as well, because you might need to add new materials which belong to your whatever country you're working in, or you might need to expand the database for other reasons. So if you come to the edit menu, on the right hand side, you will see this icon, which is for materials. If you click on it, it will open the materials database. And on the left hand side, you have a list of all the materials which come off the shelf. And you can see that it's a long list, um, which, uh, which you directly get when you install the program. Now you can select any one of these materials and click on the first thing you might perhaps want to note is that every material has a type. These are the types which can exist at the moment, and this list can be extended very easily. So it can be a steel material, it can be a concrete material, it can be a bolt material, it could be a weld material, which would mean it could be a weld electrode material basically, or a rebar related material, etc. Now, when you click on modify when you want to modify an existing material, this dialog box comes up, and here you have your classical finite element analysis related properties like elasticity, modulus, shear modulus, the Poisson's ratio, unit mass, unit weight, thermal expansion coefficient, yield strength, ultimate strength, etc. And these are the variables you would need to enter if you wanted to add a new material. You can change the units of these numbers over here if you have your numbers in some other units. And then you can modify or add accordingly. The only parameter over here, which is related to things other than the finite element analysis as well, is the unit weight or unit mass. You can say unit weight perhaps. Now this is the unit weight as in so many kilograms per cubic meter or something like that. This currently it's in kilonewtons per millimeter cubed. So if I were to change it to, for example, tons per meter cubed, then it like steel would be 7.84 tons per cubic meter. Now this number normally is can be used in your shop drawing material takeoff calculations, but primarily COMOSYS will prefer the weight per unit length value, which is given in the sections database separately. But that is only used when there is no cut on the section, when it is a straight section with no cuts on it. In that case, that particular value is used. But if there are some cuts on it, so you could have holes in the profile or some angular cuts, some things which force the program to then not, so that the program is not able to use the so many kilograms per meter value. In that case, it reverts to this general per cubic meter because it does a volume analysis, how much volume you have in that particular piece. So it's going to use this particular number for creating your material takeoff tables. Now, just like you can press the modify button, you can also press the add new button. You can give it a new name, you can give it a new type, the types we just discussed, and just enter these values and press OK, and that new material will be added to your database. One minor point which needs to be remembered is that if you add new materials over here, let's say for steel, then you should remember that some macros use some material properties which are not mentioned in this particular list, which go beyond these 5 or 6 properties. These could be, I'll just show them to you. So what it does is it uses these properties to do a preliminary analysis, a kind of a back of the envelope quick analysis to give you a preliminary design for certain connection macros. Because in COMOSYS it attempts to, because it can know the loads in members. So it attempts to give you an initial guess, which is kind of good enough for almost what the final connection should be like. So it does a quick analysis based on certain parameters, and that algorithm, which does the preliminary design, is uses a particular file called material constants. If you go to your preferences folder, let's go to the company one, it doesn't matter. So if you go down, you will reach a file called material constants. Let me just scroll down. There you go. That's the one I'm talking about. Now, if I double click on this file to open it, you see that it has lots of materials in it. In fact, for each material, so for example, there's let's just take one material over here, ST37. For each material, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. So if you notice, there are 5 lines for ST37. Similarly, there are 5 lines for ST42. Similarly, there are 5 lines for ST44, and it keeps going on like that. You'll find some concrete related materials in there as well. You'll find some welding electrode materials in there as well. You'll find your bolt materials in there as well. But for each material, there will be 5 lines. That's because currently 5 design codes are supported. And to do a preliminary design according to those codes, for example, the American ASD, the LRFT, the Eurocode 3, the Turkish code, and the British standards, those codes being currently supported, it requires certain values like ultimate strength, bending stress, maximum bending stress it can take, or bearing and punching. So some things are required for concrete, for example. Some of these variables are in the other database as well. So there's some overlap. But so, for example, allowable axial stress, allowable shear stress, slip coefficient. You'll find some of the numbers you'll find will be related to certain types of materials only. So, for example, the slip coefficient is probably related to bolts only. So you'll find lots of zeros over here. But when you get to the bolt-related materials, then those numbers will start to come up maybe. You can see some of them over here, for example. Now, so what I want to say is that when you add a material inside COMOSYS, when you add a material from here, then just make sure that you add 5 new lines. What all you need to do is just copy any material from here. Just right click, say copy, come down to the end of the file, add a space, and paste your new material over here. I'm just going to show you how it's done. Give it the new name which you've added. Just change the first column, and then change these numbers for that particular material, which you want the macros to use in the preliminary design, and then the macros will start using those numbers in the preliminary design. And if you don't do that, then the macros might give you some error that material is not found or something like that. So just a precautionary note on that when you add a new material, then things won't stop. I mean, you can still continue working. It's probably going to use some default values or something. But the best option is then to immediately go to the material constants file as well, and add 5 lines for that material and change the numbers for each line.